friends, it's Kathy Clement with Kathy by Design. So today's a little bit of a mix of new and old. The new is this beautiful collection from Stamperia paper called Welcome Home. This came out this year, I believe, and it's just so pretty. This is the collectibles that has all the fussy cut images, which y'all know I love to fussy cut. It takes me right back to my paper doll days. But I love the lavender tones. I love all the little birds, bird houses, lavender, watering cans, terracotta pots. And then look at these teacups, these houses and teacups. Just the sweetest. It is so sweet. And I just couldn't resist. And I kind of went a little bit crazy and bought a ton of this. But actually, I'm not sad that I did because I love it. Here's the 12 by 12 paper pad. And you can see just beautiful, beautiful shades of purple and green, butterflies, text. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous paper collection. And of course, I look at this and my mind goes to mini album. So I think that's what we're going to work on this week, both today and for Throwback Thursday, because the project I have in mind is not small. So it may take us more than one session to do everything. But you can see just a beautiful paper collection, and I just love everything about it. And I couldn't resist. Purple and green is such a beautiful color combination. Look at this great old green wood grain, and then more fussy cuts. I have the 8 by 8, which is basically the same patterns, just in a smaller size. So these work well for cards. And then, because I wasn't done yet, I've got the rub-ons, which I don't usually do, but these were so beautiful I couldn't resist. So I got rub-ons, I cut the wooden shapes, which have all these great clocks and cups and doors and all these goodies, teapots, and I mean, look how sweet. So I had to get those. And then I got the adhesive die cuts and the die cut shapes. These are the little bits of them. And again, just all sorts of sweet flowers and terracotta pots and puppies and kittens and teapots and all the good things. And then I got the die cuts, which are these hot air balloons, these larger houses. And this is kind of how I keep these on my desk when I'm working with a collection, so that I can find what I'm looking for easily, and it keeps them from getting spread all over the place. It makes it a little bit more organized. All right, so what are we gonna make? Well, I thought mini album, and I still have left this, like the gift that keeps on giving, 2 of the sections that we operated on in that 6 by 6 graphic 45 album last month. So I'm going to use them, and I'm going to show you how to build a new album base that will have 2 signatures in it. It's really not hard. If you've never done it before, I know you can do it. So I have 2 6 by 6 squares of mat board and a 2 by 6 inch piece of more mat board. And that's what we're going to use our base, build our base. And then I have these sheets of a really pretty lilac lavender 8.5 by 11, and I trimmed them down to 8 inches. I put 1/2 inch score tape on one side, and we're going to do my favorite trick where we join these together to make one big long sheet. So I'm just lining this up along that score tape edge, and we end up with this great big panel. And I'm just going to burnish this down. And you can see how nicely this works. And then we're going to bring in our chipboard. And you can see I've cut this so I can have a 1 inch border on every side. And I'm going to take my adhesive, and you can use score tape if you wish. Just use whatever, you know, works for you. And I'm going to lay this down. straight is good. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to put my ruler here as a spacer. Let me just do it and show you what I'm doing. Oops, wrong piece. That was almost a disaster. If you hear that beeping, it's because I'm making sourdough bread again. I've decided I really like making sourdough bread. So what this does is it leaves us a little space in between so that the album will turn nicely. And I'm just going to repeat this here. For this section. All right. So not hard so far, right? All right, so you can see I trimmed off this right-hand side so that this measures out right. And the one thing I'm going to tell you is make this that has the seam on the back so you don't have your seam on the right, okay? Now come in with a bone folder, and I'm just going to go around the edges of this to just kind of create a little indentation. This just makes it easier to fold. And now I'm going to come in and I'm just going to gently bend this paper. So once you learn how to do this, you can build any size mini album you want. So it's a really good skill to have, and it's not hard, and it doesn't really even take all that much time. Okay, so now we've got our corners. You can see I'm just going to come in and I'm going to cut right through where these two lines intersect. All right. Alrighty, so now I'm going to take my adhesive and I'm going to put it on my short ends. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to fold this in. And then I'm going to do this one. And I actually really like using a liquid adhesive for this because the fact that it's a wet adhesive kind of helps those that paper to stretch a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to do this top flap. And where it comes over the spine, I'm going to double my adhesive, all right? Because we want that to really be secure. All right, see how beautiful that corner is? And see, you can manipulate your paper. Like in that corner, it was a little shy. So I just pressed it in, and I'm coming in also with my bone folder in between the spine and the covers. Same thing here. How many of you have made your own mini album bases before? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Do you enjoy it? I actually really enjoy it. When I was a kid, one of the things I wanted to be was a librarian because I loved books, but the other reason I wanted to be a librarian is I loved repairing books. So I know this is kind of weird, but so this kind of takes me there. It gives me that, I don't know, I love books. All right, so now we're just going to gently bend this. And I'm taking my time so the paper will stretch. Look at that. How perfect is that? Isn't that so cool? So now a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take a little binder clip and I'll just put it here to sort of train these to stay bent. All right, so let me gather supplies and we'll do the next step. So I've taken the offcut from the paper I used on the cover, and this is 8 inches by almost 5 3/4 inches, which is just about perfect actually. And what I've done is I've scored 1.5 inches on each end, and then all these 1/2 inch score lines in between. So you're going to end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 1/2 inch score lines. Skip this first one and then pinch these two together to make like a tent. Then skip this one and do these two together, and skip this one and do these two together. So now you have these 3 tabs with a 1/2 inch gutter in between. And this gives you room to add extra stuff to the front and back pages of each signature. And we're going to do something kind of fun with this one, so don't worry about him. Flip this over, bring in some score tape. I'm going to move my scoring tool out of the way here real quick. So you can see I'm upside down, and we've got this little gutter in between each of these little tab sections that we just built. So place your adhesive Don't go over the scored area. Finish this down. I like to do this one at a time because that way I don't get confused. And then just pinch this together. See, so now it looks like this on the back and it looks like this on the front. Okay, so go to the next one. And I'm just using 1/4 inch score tape. You can use 1/2 inch if you like, but I find 1/4 inch works just fine. And you can use liquid adhesive on this part if you like. I just like how quickly the score tape grabs. It's just a preference, all right? So now, before we glue this into our mini album, I'm just gonna take my scissors and trim out a little triangle on each of these little peaks. And this makes it that the little signature page slips over the tabs very easily, and everything fits well. So you can see I'm just doing a little, see, just a little snip, tiny. bring in your mini album base. And everybody does this a little bit different. I like to put my spine in before I put my liner paper in, because then it covers up these wings. And see how this score line, I'm going to bring the camera down really low. Hold on. This score line matches up with this score line, and this score line matches up with this score line. That's going to make our book fold and function really, really well. In fact, I might even just take my stylus right here and address that score line that is not quite 100% perfect, and do the same over here. So see, now these line up. I'm going to come in with my adhesive, and I'm going to put my adhesive on these flat flaps that we created when we and once again, I'm just going to line these score lines up. This does two things, right? The first thing it does is it makes it that your book is going to close nicely, but it also lets you know that you're lined up straight with your spine. So that's a handy little tip. So you can see I've just glued this down. You have a half a second if you need to like straighten something, adjust something. The hotter the weather is, the quicker adhesive tends to set up. So now lift this little flap. Put your adhesive here. Here's my bone folder. Do your adhesive here. And one of the reasons I like to use liquid adhesive on the spine and installing the spine is that it really holds up better over time, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I know, you know, a lot of you made hundreds of mini albums probably using score tape, but I just always feel like it's going to stand up better if I use my liquid adhesive. So now let's just gently, gently, gently bend these covers again, because that spine, you know, we have to adjust for that extra material that is the spine. And see, I'm just checking to make sure everything is pressed in the way it should be. And you can even like take your bone folder and do your tabs this way and then this way a couple of times, and that will make the pages in your album turn that much with that much more ease. And everything looks really good, you guys. Look at that. Isn't that sweet? So now I'm just going to take my binder clip and put it on here again and just let this sit for a little while and let that glue harden and everything set up. All right, so I went into my 12 by 12 paper pack and I cut out these two 5 3/4 inch squares of my designer paper. I just love these as end pieces, and they work so well with the color palette of this collection. So I'm going to glue this down. See, it looks like a real book. Isn't that exciting? But you've customized it to your paper collection. The reason I do this, in case you're wondering, is it helps spread that glue out so that everything is evenly distributed there. I just want to show you how well these little signatures will fit. And again, if you didn't see the initial video where we gutted that mini album, I'll put the link in the description box. But look how great these are going to fit. See? And when you glue these in, a little tip is leave about 1/8 of an inch between your signature and the base of your tab because they'll just turn better. So we're going to have one here. We're going to have one here. See how beautifully that slipped over there? And you'll just put adhesive on there to hold them in place. But we're not going to add these until after we've decorated them because, I mean, we've got this great opportunity to work with these flat on our table. And then what are we going to do here? That's a really good question. All right, so I'm coming in with my ruler and I'm setting it on this little spot. And we're at 5.5, so 2 3/4 is half of that. I'm making a pencil mark. Just like that. And I'm going to come in with my scissor. And we're going to cut this. So I've cut my tab and then I cut a little piece off each end, just like I did here. And yes, this would be easier to do if you do it beforehand, so feel free to do that. I'm going to put my adhesive right here on this tab, and I'm going to put this piece in. I'm going to flip it over. I want to make sure I'm lined up, so like even top and bottom. Then I'm going to put adhesive on this and this. And I'm going to line these 2 3/4. Oops. By 5-inch pieces up. So now look, we have this cute little flip page. This one's not straight, so let's fix that. All right, that's better. All right, see how neat that looks? Now this one, I'm just going to do my tab. I'm going to flip it. So this is a shorter one. This one I went 4 3/4. This one I went 5. This one I went 4 3/4. I'm going to put my adhesive here. This is 1/8-inch score tape. I'm going to put this on the sides. Why? Well, so we can put a little tag in there, which is so fun. I'm just going to put a couple of pieces here so that our tag doesn't go all the way down into the bottom. So I've lined that up, and now I'm going to come in yay, that punch worked. So now we have this cute little, I think this will hold an ATC tag. Okay, so that's that little, and see, these will go in both directions. I don't know why things like that make me happy, but they do. All right. Okay, guys, I'm back, and I apologize for this big, long absence. I kind of came down with a nasty summer cold, and I'm feeling much better, but my voice is still messed up, and if I talk too long, I'll start coughing. Only other thing I wanted to show you today, if you don't have those Graphic 45 signatures, here's how you can make them at home. Super easy. This is an 11 by 11 piece of cardstock. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my precision trimmer. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to make a cut. I've lined it up at 5.5 here, and I'm going to cut to 5.5 here. I like to make my cut before I score. I find that my cutter handles it better. Like I get a cleaner cut. So then I'm going to bring in my scoring tool. I'm going to score at 5.5 to create a vertical axis. And I'm actually going to score this on both sides because I find that it turns better if I do. And then I'm going to turn it the other way, and I'm going to score 5.5. So see, now we have these 4 5.5-inch quadrants. And you can use, I recommend that you don't do too heavy of a cardstock here, because if you do, you'll have a hard time getting it to turn for you. You want to keep your cut on the right. So now that you've got your cut on the right, you're going to fold the top down like this. You're going to fold this flap over like this. Then you're just going to pick this up and turn this flap over, and you've created this little book. All right, you've got a turn page here. You've got a turn page here. This becomes your pocket page. And I'm just going to show you very quickly. If you want to do a pocket like Graphic 45, you want to take a 5.5 by 4-inch piece of paper, score it at 2, and you're going to wrap it around both sides of this piece that is hinged at the top. And you're going to put adhesive here and here and here and here. And that makes pocket pages, and you have a pocket in the center. I don't like that because I don't like the fact that you can't get inside this pocket. So this is how I do it when I'm building it from scratch. I do a 5 3/8 by 1-inch piece of paper. I score it in half at 1/2 and fold it. Then I glue inside these 2 pages, just like we do gussets, so that the folded side is on the edge, right? And the open piece is here. So this side gets glued down here, then adhesive here, then this closes, and here you go. You've still got your pocket page in the center where you can put an insert, and you've got a full page here that you can add a standard pocket to, and you've got a full page here. So you can either use it as a page or you can use it as a pocket. And then of course, this is the part over here that adheres to the tabs in your folio, in your album. So I wanted to show you that, so that even if you don't have these Graphic 45 albums, you can participate and make this album with us. I think that's all that my voice is going to allow me to do for today. So I will be back on Tuesday, and we'll finish out this little folio together then. All right, thanks for joining me. Go get your craft on. Bye.